And I'm just gonna put...
Do you actually mind real quick?
Yes.
Putting the aluminum foil back in the sink?
I left the aluminum foil out. No. All right, let me try it again.
Yeah.
No. Hey there, I'm Kristen Bates. I am the community manager with Norwell Spotlight TV and Harbor Media, and we are actually in our Harbor Media kitchen studio. So something that we wanted to do for all of our wonderful viewers is to bake some comfort food for the holidays and show you some of our favorite food that we like to lean on in this cool time that we're in with Christmas, Hanukkah, other holiday celebrations that we are celebrating this month. And I have chosen to bake for you guys pecan pie. I grew up in the South. I lived in New Mexico for the vast majority of my life. And then I also lived in Texas for about 6 years when I was working on my undergrad. So I'm very familiar with Southern comfort food, and I love me some pecan pie. The recipe's really easy. I know a lot of people get scared with pecan pie because it looks like it's really complicated. It's not. It's one of the easiest pies you could possibly bake. There's no possible way you could mess it up. And it takes all of 5 minutes of putting it together, and you actually have most of the ingredients in your home. I hardly ever bake, and I was able to get most of the ingredients. I think I had to go to the store and get like the pecans, the vanilla extract, and then of course the syrup for it, and then that was it. So you have most of the ingredients with you already. I will show you what we'll be cooking with today. And you can follow along if you want to. So first things first, the most important ingredient of our pecan pie is the Karo syrup. A lot of people are kind of iffy about this. They don't like using corn syrup in their pecan pie, but it is the main ingredient. It is make or break with your pecan pie. So there is dark corn syrup with Karo syrup, or there's light. I use dark just because that's what I've always grown up with. My mom bakes with dark corn syrup. So that's just what I'm used to. But if you use the light one, it will taste the same. It will come out the same. I don't think there's any difference with it. If there is, feel free to let me know. I don't know. So we're gonna use about a cup of that dark corn syrup. And of course, the main ingredients that you cannot miss out on is, of course, our pecans. So a traditional recipe usually calls for about 1 to 1.5 cups of pecans. I like a little bit more pecans in my pie. So I use 2 cups of finely chopped pecans. So make sure they are finely chopped. You don't want to be using whole pecans, obviously, and you don't want to be using just halved pecans. So if you don't have pecans in your backyard, or if you live in an apartment like I do, you can go to your nearest grocery store. They always have them packaged and ready to sell there. So all you have to do is just dump it and go. I will also be using 1 cup of sugar. And I will also be using 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. That adds just a little bit of that extra oomph to a pecan pie. It elevates the taste a little bit. And in addition to that, I'll be using my trusty cinnamon. I love cinnamon. I put that on everything. It's always a good added flavor for any type of pie, whether you're baking like pumpkin pie, pecan pie, even like chocolate pie as well. Cinnamon's always a good addition to that. I'll also be using 2 tablespoons of melted butter. We'll be popping this in the microwave later to melt it and to help blend in with the rest of the recipe. And then of course, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. A little bit goes a long way, so don't overdo it with the vanilla extract. It just is there to add just a little bit of that sweetness to it. And of course, you need your pie crust. So I bought store-bought pie crust. You can make homemade if you want to, but here's the thing, buy the store-bought. You're not impressing anybody. Pecan pie is all about the flavoring and the middle of it, so you don't really need to go out of your way to make homemade pie crust. If you want to, that's amazing. Gordon Ramsay isn't coming to your dinner party, so you don't really have anybody to impress. If he is, let me know so I can, say hello to him. So these are ingredients. I will also be using 3 eggs in the mixture, and we will go from there. So I'm just gonna pop this butter in the microwave for 30 seconds. That'll get it completely melted. And then after that, I'm gonna mix the butter with the sugar, the brown sugar, the Karo syrup, and the vanilla extract. And then I'll mix that, and then we'll add the pecans. So let me pop this in the microwave for 30 seconds. So Harbor Media does have a fully functioning kitchen studio. We make many programs here that utilizes the studio space. It's a lot of cool cooking. It shows that we were able to produce with the studio, and it is fully functional. So we have like pots and pans here if you wanted to do some baking. We will partake in some taste testing because we do love food here. So our butter is basically 95% melted, which is fine. So I'll put that down here and we will start mixing. So I'll put the carob syrup in. It's a little thick, so you might have to have some help with the spatula. And then just curve around the sides of this measuring cup and put that in there. This is a good base to start with. It is going to take a little bit to mix, but that's fine because it will be worth it because pecan pie is very delicious. So we have that in there ready to go. We'll set this back over here. We're going to put our sugar in the mixture. That syrup is so thick, the sugar just sits right on top of that. We'll put our brown sugar in, melted butter, and our vanilla extract. And don't forget our 3 eggs. So I'm going to crack the eggs and pray that I don't get any shell in here. Oh no, I got a shell in there. It's okay, I washed my hands. And 1 more egg. I still use 2 hands to open the eggs because I am not a professional chef. All right, so we have all of our ingredients except for our pecans. We'll add that later after we've mixed this. This is basically like the middle of that mixture that's sort of in between those pecan bites when you take a bite of your pie. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up the yolk. And then I'll start mixing. This is going to take a little bit just because it takes time for the sugar and the eggs to blend with the syrup, but that's fine. I would stick with using a spatula as opposed to like a KitchenAid mixer or things like that. The spatula it helps keep with a thick consistency, and you don't want the mixture too thinned out. So I'm mixing this for just a little bit longer, but you can kind of see the light brown texture and color, and this is exactly what we need for that filling. And so there's still a little bit of chunks of butter, but that's fine because that's going to melt in the oven anyways. So this is the consistency that we need. Still really goopy, which is nice. I love goopy. And then you're going to put in your pecans. So again, we're using 2 cups. If you like more pecans, you can put in more pecans if you want to. Totally up to you. I'm also adding cinnamon in here as well. I would eyeball it. I don't have a specific measurement for it. So eyeball it a little bit. I put a little bit more than maybe others because I like that cinnamon taste with it. And it's good because it mixes in evenly with the pecan mixture. So the mixture is ready to go into our pre-made pie crust because we did not overexert ourselves with making homemade pie crust. All right, so the mixture is ready to go. It looks really good. All the pecans are mixed in evenly. Everything looks very appetizing. So we're gonna get our pre-made pie shell and just pop it in there. You want a 9-inch deep dish pie shell for this to mix in the pecans and the mixture evenly. And anything smaller than that, this is going to overflow. And then what you want to do is you want to make sure all those pecans are spread evenly. So you have a little bit of like pecan with each bite. The great thing about using 2 cups of pecan pie in this mixture is that no matter what, you're going to have pecans. And it's going to be pretty evenly spaced. So this is what it looks like unbaked. And we are going to set this in the oven at 350 degrees, and we're gonna actually cook this for 1 hour and 10 minutes. If you do it for about 1 hour, that's fine, depending on your oven. but you might want to check on it after an hour because sort of the juices inside might be leaking through when it's cooled down. So I go for an hour and 10 minutes just in case. So I'm gonna grab a pan to put this on because with foil and with the pie crust, it's really flimsy. And I want something sturdy to grab onto when I pull it out of the oven. So let me grab a pan. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put my uncooked pecan pie in there. That way I have something sturdy to hold on to when I put it in the oven. And then something else I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of shake it around a little bit and then maybe plop it just to get some of the bubbles out. Again, if there's bubbles in it, it's fine. It's not gonna affect the taste of it, but just more so for presenting value, just to get it all out. And then we're gonna put it in the center rack for about 350 degrees, and we're not gonna touch it for at least an hour. We'll come back and look at it, see if we need to cook it a little bit longer after that time period, but an hour to an hour and 10 minutes, that's your sweet spot. And then we'll pull it out of the oven then and let it cool for a few hours before we serve it. So I will see you in a few hours. Okay, so it has been about 2 hours since I've taken the pie out of the oven. Just like I said, about an hour and 10 minutes was perfect. You know when it's done when you take it out of the oven and you can move it a little bit and the pie has risen and it's a little bit wobbly. That's perfect. So once you take it out of the oven, put it on a cooling rack for about 2 hours to let it settle, chill out, do its thing, let it vibe with the environment. And after that, it is ready to be served. So here's the final product. This is what you're looking for in the pecan pie. Obviously, all we did was throw in that mixture and it has turned out beautifully. So the most important is obviously going to be cutting into it and tasting it. So I'm gonna cut into the pie. And this pre-made pie crust that I got is really good because it's pretty soft as well. And when you're putting it into the pie crust, you want to make sure that it's still cold or frozen. You don't want to bake it at all before you put the filling in because the pie crust is going to cook with the pecan pie. So I've cut it. Let's grab a piece using a disposable paper plate because cleanup shouldn't be super hard. And we will get a pie slice out. You can use like a spatula. Ooh. I can already feel, just basically cutting into this, how good this is going to be. I'm gonna grab my knife. Cutting pie is a little challenging. I used to work at a pie shop when I was getting my undergrad, and there really is an art to cutting like a perfect slice of pie. So if it's not a perfect triangle, that is a-okay. It's still gonna taste amazing, and it's all gonna go in the same place, so it's fine. So we have our delicious pie. Looks great. If you have some vanilla ice cream, it'll also taste good. Put a little dollop on top of it. Get yourself a cup of coffee or whatever beverage that you want to drink with pie. And dig in. Let's see how this tastes. Okay, this is not bad. I was worried. I really was, but this is actually really good. So this is with the cinnamon, the brown sugar, and then like a little dash of salt for it. That's good. Pie can be eaten for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Maybe the day after your holiday festivities, you're waking up in the morning like, I don't really feel like being healthy just yet. Cut up a leftover piece of pecan pie. Your day is set. So this is my pecan pie recipe. You're more than welcome to use it to celebrate with your loved ones, however you'll be celebrating this holiday season. And we over here at Harbor Media wish you a safe and happy holiday. Thank you so much.